The day Ethan Carter asked me for a divorce, I almost smiled. Instead, I lowered my head, let my shoulders tremble, and squeezed out a few tears. After all, that was what the woman I had spent 6 years pretending to be would do. I'm sorry, Olivia, Ethan said quietly as he slid a black credit card across the marble kitchen island. The afternoon sun poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our Malibu house, making everything look warmer than it really was. I've tried. I really have. I stared at the card as if it had broken my heart. You tried? My voice cracked perfectly. We built a family together. We have Noah. How can you say you've tried? He looked away first. That told me everything. Inside my head, a familiar mechanical voice echoed. Mission complete. Primary target has recognized his true feelings. You are now free to proceed to the next assignment. Finally, 6 years, 2,191 days. Countless carefully timed smiles, comforting hugs, family dinners, birthdays, anniversaries, vacations, and quiet nights spent pretending that being someone's second choice didn't eventually become exhausting. It was over. I should have felt devastated. Instead, the strongest emotion rushing through me was relief. Ethan stood, hesitating for only a second before placing the credit card in my hand. There'll be more if you need it, he said. I nodded while hiding my face. He mistook my silence for heartbreak. Only the system knew I was trying very hard not to laugh from pure exhaustion. As he reached the front door, I asked the question that wasn't part of my script. So, he stopped. When were you planning to tell me you've loved Madison all this time? The silence stretched between us. Slowly, he turned. Those familiar hazel eyes looked at me with the same expression they had worn for years, the same eyes that had once watched me cook breakfast, watched me decorate our son's birthday cakes, watched me fall asleep during movie nights. Sometimes they had looked almost gentle, gentle enough that I had started believing something impossible. Maybe love could grow. Maybe one day I would stop being the substitute. Maybe one day he would look at me the way husbands were supposed to. Instead, his expression became strangely calm, almost relieved. I should have admitted it sooner, he answered. That single sentence quietly buried every fantasy I had accidentally built over 6 years. I see. He waited as though expecting me to argue. Instead, I simply nodded. Goodbye, Ethan. For the first time since we'd met, he seemed unsure what to say. Then he left. The front door closed. The house became silent. The system sighed dramatically. Host, congratulations. I looked around the enormous living room, the expensive furniture, the ocean view, the family photos hanging perfectly along the hallway. Every picture showed us smiling. Not one of them showed the truth. I walked over to the wall and removed the first frame, then the second, then the third. By the time my 6-year-old son wandered downstairs, rubbing his sleepy eyes, half the wall was empty. Mom, I turned. Noah looked from me to the missing photographs. Is Dad gone? Yes. His small face fell. I wanted to tell him about my science project. I knelt until we were eye level. You still can. He nodded absent-mindedly. Then, after a long pause, he quietly asked, Can I live with Dad and Miss Madison? For just a second, everything inside me became completely still. Even the system stopped talking. Noah hurried to explain. Dad smiles more when she's around. He twisted the sleeve of his hoodie. And she always lets me eat ice cream before dinner. I couldn't help smiling. Children measured love differently, not by sacrifice, by attention, by excitement, by who made ordinary afternoons feel magical. Does she want you there? I asked softly. His face lit up. She said I'm the coolest kid she's ever met. I nodded slowly. I understand. His shoulders relaxed immediately. I knew you'd understand. Of course you did, because for 6 years I had taught you that your happiness came before mine. Maybe too well. The system finally spoke again. Host, emotional attachment detected. I looked at my son. No, I answered silently. Just habit. Or at least, that's what I wanted to believe. Noah smiled, completely unaware that he'd just changed the course of both our lives. I'll pack my dinosaur pajamas, he announced cheerfully before running upstairs. I watched him disappear around the corner. The house fell quiet again. For several long seconds, neither I nor the system spoke. Finally, the familiar mechanical voice broke the silence. Host, are you certain you're letting him go this easily? I walked into the kitchen and poured myself a glass of water. He made his choice. He's 6 years old. I know. I leaned against the counter, staring through the enormous windows at the Pacific Ocean stretching endlessly beyond the cliffs. He deserves the chance to learn what choices really mean. The system remained unusually quiet. It had accompanied me through 3 completed missions, but this was the first time it sounded almost sympathetic. You raised him. I did. Doesn't that hurt? I thought carefully before answering. When I accepted Ethan's mission, I agreed to become the perfect supporting character. The memories surfaced one after another. Morning lunches packed before sunrise, school concerts, late night fevers, every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every birthday candle. I told the system to block the pain of pregnancy, I whispered. But nobody warned me it couldn't block attachment. The words surprised even me. For years, I had insisted Noah belonged to Ethan's world more than mine. Now I wasn't entirely sure that had ever been true. 2 days later, I signed the divorce papers. The courthouse overlooked downtown Los Angeles, its polished glass reflecting the afternoon sun. The process lasted less than 20 minutes. 6 years, reduced to signatures. Ethan walked beside me toward the parking lot. Neither of us spoke until we reached the elevators. Olivia, I looked at him. You'll always have financial support. I almost laughed. Even now, he thought money solved loneliness. I'll be fine. I know, he hesitated. I hope someday you'll find someone. There was genuine kindness in his voice that somehow made it sadder. I hope you do too, I answered. His expression softened. I already have. Madison, of course. The elevator doors opened. He stepped inside. For a brief second, our eyes met. Then the doors closed. The system spoke the moment he disappeared. Primary target relationship permanently concluded. A small golden notification appeared in the corner of my vision. Calculating next assignment. I sighed. Already? Host has been inactive for 6 years. Schedule adjustment required. A new name slowly materialized before my eyes. Secondary target identified. Lucas Bennett. I stopped walking. No. The system paused. Host. No. Anyone but him, Lucas Bennett. Ethan's oldest friend. The one man who had never trusted me. The one who had looked at me for 6 years as though he could see every lie I told. Every family barbecue, every charity gala, every holiday dinner. Lucas had always been there, leaning against a wall, watching, listening, never openly rude, never openly friendly, just observant. Or, you've got to be kidding. Mission confirmed. This is a terrible idea. Probability of success, 81.4%. I'd put it closer to 12. 3 nights later, I found myself standing outside an upscale rooftop lounge overlooking Santa Monica. The city glittered below like scattered diamonds. Live music drifted through the warm California air. People laughed around rooftop fire pits while bartenders mixed colorful cocktails beneath hanging lights. Lucas was here. The system had confirmed it. I spotted him almost immediately. Black shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms, one hand resting casually around a whiskey glass as he spoke to the bartender. Even sitting alone, he carried himself with the relaxed confidence of someone who never needed to prove anything. I stayed near the entrance longer than necessary. Host? I'm thinking. Thinking has delayed the mission by 9 minutes. I'm creating a strategy. Current strategy appears to be staring. I ignored it. Approaching Ethan had been simple. I'd been 19, sweet, inexperienced, exactly his type. But Lucas noticed details. He remembered conversations from years ago. He asked difficult questions. Worst of all, he rarely believed easy answers. Pretending to accidentally meet him wouldn't work. Pretending to get drunk wouldn't work. Pretending to need help definitely wouldn't work. He'd probably call me a ride share and send me home. I sighed. This mission is impossible. The system answered with suspicious optimism. Host has overcome impossible missions before. Those targets wanted to be deceived. I watched Lucas laugh quietly at something the bartender said. This one pays attention. And somehow, that made him far more dangerous. Lucas didn't contact me for 4 days. The system immediately noticed. Host communication frequency has decreased significantly. I know. Should we contact him? No. For the first time in years, I wasn't interested in following a mission. If Lucas wanted to see me, he would. On the fifth evening, my phone buzzed. Lucas, Santa Monica Pier, Saturday morning. If you're free. I smiled before I realized it. Saturday arrived bright and warm. Lucas was waiting with 2 iced coffees. I guessed your order. I took a sip. It was exactly right. You've been paying attention. I have. We spent the morning walking along the pier, talking about everything except the past. For the first time in years, I wasn't trying to become someone's perfect wife. I was simply Olivia. Near the end of the pier, Lucas stopped. Were you looking for me that night at the rooftop? I smiled. Yes. And now? Now I know it wasn't because of any mission. He looked at me for a long moment before gently taking my hand. I'm glad. So am I. A few weeks later, Ethan called. We met at a quiet cafe overlooking Malibu Beach. He looked exhausted. I thought loving Madison would make everything right, he admitted. It didn't. I stayed silent. I didn't notice everything you did. I know. I see it now. So do I. He looked toward the ocean. Noah misses you. I miss him too. After a long pause, he quietly asked, Are you happy? This time, my answer came easily. Yes. Not because life had become perfect, because for the first time, it was mine. Ethan lowered his eyes. I spent 6 years chasing the woman I thought I wanted and ignored the one who was standing beside me. His voice was filled with quiet regret. I'm sorry, Olivia. I know. Some apologies don't erase the past. They simply acknowledge it. And sometimes, that's enough. Noah slowly began spending weekends with me again, not because anyone asked him to, because he wanted to. One Saturday, he stood beside me in the kitchen while we made pancakes. They still look funny, he laughed. Oh, they always will. I like them better this way. I smiled. So do I. That evening, Lucas arrived carrying dinner and a tiny potted succulent. I thought your apartment needed something green. I laughed. You bought me a cactus. It's technically a succulent. He placed it on the windowsill before looking at me. I think you've spent enough years taking care of everyone else. He gently took my hand. I'd like to take care of you for a while. At that exact moment, the system appeared one final time. Primary mission complete. Secondary mission complete. The words shimmered before changing. Mission parameters no longer required. I blinked. So, this is goodbye? Host has learned to choose her own future. Further guidance is unnecessary. The familiar voice disappeared. For the first time in years, there were no missions, no assigned roles, no invisible script deciding where my life should go. Lucas squeezed my hand. Outside the apartment window, the California sunset painted the sky in gold and orange. I looked at the horizon and smiled. The greatest reward wasn't that Ethan finally understood what he had lost. It wasn't that Noah found his way back. It wasn't even finding someone who truly saw me. The greatest reward was finally becoming the author of my own life. And for the first time, tomorrow belonged entirely to me.